In the deep silence beneath the ocean, where glowing tunnels replace sunlight and the hum of machines echoes like a heartbeat, humanity has forgotten the meaning of mercy. Among neon stalls and metallic sense of survival, a purple-skinned alien mother named Lyra walks alone, her fragile baby wrapped close to her chest. Each step echoes her struggle, her hunger, her hope. The world around her doesn't see a mother. They see an outcast, a creature from the losing side of an ancient war. Her eyes plead for kindness, but the market only trades in power. Then a hand reaches out. A human soldier, strong, scarred, silent, offers her a few coins. In that single moment, time seems to stop. It's not just charity, it's rebellion. In a world where empathy is extinct, a simple act of compassion becomes the rarest form of courage. What neither of them knows is that the child in Lyra's arms holds a secret powerful enough to reshape the future of two species, because sometimes the smallest kindness can ignite the greatest revolution. Lyra walked deeper into the neon maze, her senses overwhelmed by light, noise, and the constant hum of machinery. The corridors twisted like veins inside the body of a dying god, each tunnel leading her further away from warmth, further into despair. The crowd pressed against her. Humans in steel uniforms, alien traders with tired eyes, scavengers hissing under their breath. Every step felt heavier than the last. Her baby stirred again, letting out a faint cry that was quickly swallowed by the noise of the market. She stopped in a narrow corner where the light flickered. Her throat burned with thirst, her stomach cramped with hunger. She pulled aside the fabric slightly to look at the child, tiny, fragile, yet strangely radiant. The baby's eyes were closed, but faint streaks of light traced across its skin, like threads of energy pulsing from within. Lyra felt both awe and fear. She didn't understand what her child was, only that the glow made them a target. She remembered the night she fled her home dome. Soldiers had come, not for her, but for the unregistered newborns born after the treaty collapse. Therian infants were being taken for scientific evaluation. None had ever returned. She ran through flooded tunnels, hiding for days in oxygen shafts, feeding her baby drops of recycled water from leaking pipes. Now, days later, she had reached Neptune Prime's trade zone, her last hope for survival. The marketplace offered everything but mercy. She approached a stall selling nutrient bars, her trembling hand lifting an old metallic token. "Please," she whispered, her voice dry and cracked. "Just one bar." The vendor, a human woman with silver implants in her face, frowned. "That's not enough. Move along." "But my child." "Move along." The rejection cut deeper than hunger. Lyra stepped back, clutching her baby closer. She could feel the tiny heartbeat against her chest, rapid and fragile. "I'll find a way," she murmured. "I promise." Around her, the world seemed to shrink. The lights dimmed, replaced by the glow from her child's soft skin. She tried to cover it again, but a passerby glanced curiously. Lyra turned away quickly, heart pounding. If the enforcers saw that light, they would take the baby. She slipped into a shadowed alley, leaning against a metal wall slick with condensation. Her breath fogged the air. For a moment, she let the tears fall. Silent, shimmering like the reflections of the ocean above. Then, a sudden metallic clatter broke her thoughts. A group of human soldiers passed at the alley's mouth, laughing, their boots splashing through puddles. One of them, tall, broad-shouldered, with a scar across his arm, glanced in her direction. Their eyes met for a brief, piercing moment. Lyra froze, clutching her baby tight. The soldier hesitated, as if recognizing something in her gaze. Pain, maybe, or courage. He didn't speak, not yet. But fate had already drawn its line between them. That man would soon reach out his hand, and the world of Neptune Prime would never be the same again. The city of Neptune Prime lay buried deep beneath the endless ocean, glowing like a heart made of glass and electricity. Massive domes held back the crushing pressure of the deep, their transparent walls revealing giant shadows of sea creatures drifting above, silent, ancient and indifferent to the lives crawling beneath them. Inside, neon lights pulsed through narrow corridors, reflecting off chrome surfaces and misted glass stalls. The hum of generators and muffled chatter blended into an endless rhythm, the heartbeat of a city that never slept. Here, humans and aliens coexisted uneasily. The humans walked with purpose, dressed in dark uniforms and metallic implants, their eyes scanning the world like machines. The aliens, the Therians, moved slower, wrapped in faded cloth and quiet sorrow. Once they were the ocean's rulers. Now, they were laborers, beggars, and forgotten souls surviving at the bottom of humanity's hierarchy. The air smelled of salt and oil. Vendors shouted in broken tongues, selling everything from synthetic meat to recycled oxygen. Holographic signs flickered overhead. Fresh protein! Discount on purifiers? While the shadows beneath them told a different story. One of hunger, debt, and despair. In the midst of this chaos, Lyra walked carefully, clutching the bundle tied across her chest. The baby stirred, its small hand glowing faintly under the cloth, a soft bluish pulse that Lyra quickly covered. She looked around nervously, afraid someone might notice. Secrets were dangerous in Neptune Prime, hope even more so. Her feet were bare, her skin, a delicate violet hue, shimmered faintly under the cold lights. The world had not been kind to her kind. Therians were allowed to exist, but not to dream. The treaties had promised equality, but in truth, Neptune Prime was divided by invisible walls, humans above, aliens below. Lyra paused beside a vendor selling scraps of bread. Her stomach twisted painfully, but she had nothing to offer. The vendor's gaze met hers, cold, dismissive. She turned away, tightening her grip on her child, whispering softly in the Therian tongue, "Stay quiet, little one. Mama will find something." All around her, life moved on, mechanical, indifferent. A group of human soldiers passed by, their boots clanking on the metal floor, laughter echoing behind their helmets. A flicker of neon blue washed over their armor as they disappeared into the crowd. Lyra's eyes followed them for a moment, then dropped back to her child. "You'll see the sun one day," she murmured. Not through glass, but real sunlight. The words felt like a prayer, fragile and forbidden. She didn't know that destiny was already shifting. Somewhere among the strangers in that glowing market, one man was about to change her life forever, and with it, the future of two worlds. The soldier's name was Captain Rain Arik, a man forged by years of silence and war. His armor still carried the stains of battles no one remembered, skirmishes fought in the name of peace, but soaked in the blood of both human and alien. He wasn't supposed to be in the lower sectors that night. Patrol routes for officers rarely reached the markets. But something had driven him there. Perhaps boredom, perhaps guilt, or perhaps destiny itself. As Rain walked through the crowded neon bazaar, his boots echoed with dull thuds against the metallic floor. The market smelled of burnt oil and desperation. He passed beggars, traders, and broken machines, all blending into the same colorless blur. Then from the corner of his vision, he noticed movement, a flicker of violet light trembling in the shadows. He turned. A woman, alien, fragile, her eyes wide with fear, huddled in an alley clutching something close to her chest. The faint glow beneath her cloth pulsed rhythmically like a tiny heartbeat of light. Rain hesitated. His training told him to walk away. Unauthorized alien activity, the manual would label it. Not his concern. But something about her, the way she held that child, rooted him to the ground. He stepped closer, slowly, his voice steady. "You shouldn't be here," he said, though not unkindly. Lyra flinched, pressing back against the cold metal wall. "Please, I'm not here to cause trouble." Her voice trembled. "I just need food for my child." For a long moment, neither spoke. The sounds of the market faded, leaving only the hum of machinery and the soft coo of the baby. Rain reached into his pocket, fingers brushing over the metallic credits, small discs etched with the insignia of the Terran Authority. He held them out. "Take this," he said quietly. Lyra stared, confused. "Why?" Rain's eyes softened, though his face remained unreadable. "Because no one else will." She hesitated, then extended her shaking hand. The coins fell into her palm with a soft metallic chime, a sound that seemed almost sacred in that lifeless world. Their hands touched for a brief second. Warm skin against cold armor. A connection that transcended species, politics, and fear. Around them, time seemed to hold its breath. Passers-by slowed, staring with disbelief. A human soldier helping a Therian. It was unthinkable. Some whispered. Others turned away. But Rain didn't care. For the first time in years, he felt something break through the walls he had built around himself, something dangerously close to empathy. Lyra bowed her head, tears glinting under the neon lights. Thank you, she whispered, her voice a prayer lost in the noise of the city. Rain nodded once, then turned to leave. But as he did, the child shifted and let out a soft cry, and the air shimmered faintly with energy. The light beneath the cloth grew stronger, brighter. Rain stopped mid-step. That glow, it wasn't natural. It pulsed like a signal, alive, intelligent, almost aware. He turned back slowly, realization dawning in his eyes. This wasn't just a child. It was something far greater. The glow from the baby's body spread like liquid light, reflecting off the damp metal walls of the alley. Rain froze, eyes narrowing beneath his visor. The energy field wasn't random, and it pulsed in a pattern, like a message coded in light. He had seen something like it once before, during classified missions beyond the outer colonies. Signals emitted by ancient Therian relics, not by living beings. But this was alive. Lyra's heart pounded. She pulled the cloth tighter around the child, whispering, "Please stop glowing. They'll find us." The light dimmed slightly, as if responding to her voice. Rain stared in disbelief. "It can hear you?" he asked quietly. Lyra nodded, fear and love tangled in her trembling expression. "He feels what I feel. When I'm scared, he hides. When I'm calm, he shines." Before they could speak further, a loud mechanical buzz echoed from the market entrance. Enforcer drones. Their scanners swept the streets, searching for illegal life forms. The metallic voice boomed. "Unregistered Therian energy signatures detected. All units, initiate capture protocol." Lyra's eyes widened in panic. "They've found us," she gasped. Rain made a split-second decision. "Come with me," he said, grabbing her arm. She hesitated only for a heartbeat, then followed. Together, they ran through narrow tunnels, weaving between glowing pipes and dripping walls. The baby began to glow again, brighter, warmer, as if guiding them through the maze. They ducked into an abandoned maintenance corridor. Rain slammed a steel door shut behind them, sealing it with his ID chip. Both of them stood in the darkness, gasping for breath. The only light came from the child, soft, gentle, pure. It illuminated the soldier's scarred face and Lyra's tear-streaked cheeks, painting them both in ethereal blue. Rain spoke first, his voice low. "What is that child?" Lyra shook her head. "I don't know. He wasn't supposed to survive. The doctor said he was different." Her gaze softened. "When he was born, the water around him shimmered like stars. They called him cursed. But I think he's hope." Rain's mind raced. The Terran military had once theorized about the bridge, a being born from the merging of human and Therian DNA, capable of linking their biologies and ending centuries of division. It was dismissed as myth. Yet here in his arms, that myth breathed softly, glowing with the pulse of two worlds. He looked at Lyra. "If the Authority learns what he is, they'll take him. Use him." "I know," she whispered. "That's why I ran." Silence hung heavy between them. Then the baby's glow shifted, forming faint holographic lines in the air, symbols floating like light-born script. Rain recognized them, coordinates. A location far beyond Neptune Prime. The child wasn't just surviving. He was calling. Rain clenched his jaw. "We need to get you both out of here." Lyra met his gaze, eyes shimmering with fragile hope. "Why would you help us?" He paused, then said quietly, "Because once I fought for orders. Maybe now it's time I fight for something real." Outside, the drones drew closer, their red lights slicing through the darkness. But inside that small room, beneath the flicker of a child's glow, a new light was born, not of technology or power, but of faith. The alarms of Neptune Prime roared like a wounded beast. Sirens wailed through the metallic corridors, red lights spinning wildly as enforcer drones tore through the lower sectors in search of their quarry. The once bustling neon market now stood half empty, its stalls overturned, the air thick with smoke and fear. In the chaos, Rain, Lyra, and the glowing infant moved like shadows toward the outer docks, their only path to freedom. Rain led the way, his rifle slung over one shoulder, the other hand gripping the emergency override key. He'd betrayed his command, abandoned his post, and now every sensor in the city was scanning for his armor's signature. "Keep close," he said, glancing at Lyra. "They'll have the exit sealed within minutes." Lyra clutched her baby tightly, exhaustion in every step, but her eyes still carried that faint, unbreakable light. "I trust you," she whispered. I don't know why, but I do. They reached the docking bay, a massive chamber lined with glass, the dark ocean visible beyond. Swirling schools of bioluminescent fish drifted past, their glow painting the walls in ribbons of blue and gold. At the far end, a small escape pod rested in its cradle, humming faintly. Rain entered the code, his hands trembling. Once this launches, there's no coming back, he said quietly. The coordinates the child showed us, they lead beyond the human zones. To open waters, Lyra nodded. That's where we'll be safe. A loud clang echoed behind them. Drones. Rain spun around, metallic wings slicing through the air, red scanners flickering. Go, he shouted, raising his weapon. Lyra hesitated, fear flooding her chest. But Rain turned to her, voice firm yet soft. He's the future, Lyra. Don't let them take him. The battle was quick, brutal. Bolts of plasma lit the chamber as Rain fought with fierce precision, every move fueled not by duty, but by conviction. Lyra watched through tears as he fell to one knee, armor scorched, yet still firing. Finally, with a last burst of strength, he hit the launch control. The pod's hatch sealed. The thrusters roared to life. Lyra screamed, "Rain!" He turned, blood glinting on his lips, and smiled faintly. Tell him kindness still exists. The pod shot through the glass barrier, the sea swallowing it whole. Outside, darkness stretched in all directions, vast, endless, quiet. Inside, Lyra held her child close, tears mixing with the shimmer of light that filled the tiny cabin. The baby's glow spread gently across her hands, then outward, wrapping the pod in a soft radiance. She looked back through the viewport one last time, the faint glimmer of Neptune Prime fading into the abyss. In her palm, she still held the coins Rain had given her. They weren't just metal anymore. They were symbols of something far rarer. Hope. As the pod drifted into the unknown, the child's glow intensified, merging with the ocean's light. Above them, for the first time in centuries, a faint shimmer pierced the surface, a ray of sunlight breaking through the depths, and beneath that fragile light, a